Hello everyone, and welcome to the lesson on adding and subtracting rational expressions. So as you may recall, in order to add or subtract fractions, you have to have the same common denominator. Okay, so let's do a little bit of practice on how do you determine what the common denominator is. Well, if you look at A here, your denominators are x to the first, x squared, y to the x, y, x squared, y cubed. All right, so your common denominator has to be the highest power. Okay, so your LCD is x squared, y cubed. Okay, you have to be able to divide all your denominators into your common denominator. So you can't divide x squared into x. You can't divide y cubed into y. All right, so it's got to be the largest exponent that you've got. Okay, so if you take a look at B, you have a lot of stuff going on here in B, right? You have an x plus 3 and an x minus 3. Well, they have to be factors. And then you have x squared y and x. Well, you could divide the x into the x squared y. So there is your common denominator. It's 3 terms. Okay. On part C, you know you have to have an x plus y in there because you can't do anything with that binomial. Okay. And then now if you look at this, you have an x, an xy, and a y squared. Well, you need to have an x in your common denominator, and you need a y squared in there. If we take a look at D, you know you need an x plus z. You got to have that binomial in there. Now let's take a look at all these terms that are being multiplied. X squared and x, that becomes an x squared here. Y cubed, you need a y cubed, and you need a z. So there is your common denominator. So once you find your common denominator, you have to look at each fraction and see what's missing in that denominator. Okay, multiply the fraction by that missing term over itself, because we're multiplying the fraction really times 1. Anything over itself is 1. So let's look at one. Let's go to the next page. 5 over x plus 3 over y. So your common denominator is xy. So if we look at 5x, what are we missing to give me a denominator of xy? You're missing a y. So we multiply that fraction by y over y. Plus 3 over y. And what are we missing to give you a denominator in xy? X over x. Okay? So now you have xy in both denominators, right? So the first one is 5y. Second numerator is 3x. So when we look at this, the ultimate answer is 3x plus 5y over xy. Final answer. Okay? On number 3, there's that -1. If you multiply that second fraction by -1 over -1, it allows you to reverse the term so they'll match that one. Okay? On number 4, I'll give you a hint. X plus 3 and x minus 3. That's really what that denominator is. So now when you look at your LCD, it's x plus 3 and x minus 3. Okay. So you're going to multiply this first fraction by x plus 3 over x plus 3. All right. So this hopefully is also review that you've seen this before. This is the lesson on adding and subtracting rational expressions. Do your best with these. They're not easy. Some of them will be time consuming, but just try your best. This lesson was brought directly to you from my dining room table.